Welcome back, everyone. Now that we have a better knowledge in CSS and HTML, especially in Flexbox and displays, margins, now it's a good time to fix that positions. And we need to position every item at the right spot. We are having a progress, but it's not complete yet. And I want to say something here. Uh, Sometimes people wonder why this positioning and alignment and moving the items in HTML, why this is a little tricky and it's hard. Some people always wonder why it's so hard and tricky, because there are some backend developers where these backend developers I've seen, they have so much difficulties in positioning items. For example, if I tell a backend developer, I want you to move this item and put it to the right side, he's just not able to do that. I've seen so many backend developers like that. The reason why it's tricky is because when people are opening our website or our web page, people are using different screens. For example, someone is using a mobile, someone is using a tablet, someone is using even a big, huge LCD. So since the device's screen is variable, and for example, even here, so see here, even here, the width is always changing. And that's what makes it tricky, because let's imagine you are designing something in Photoshop and the background of the image is like 1000 pixel to 500 pixel, and you are positioning some items here, for example, one here, one there. And since this background, the dimensions of this background never changes, it's so simple to position items there. You can just simply drag and drop and position everything to the place that you want. But in HTML and CSS and web applications, it is not that simple. And the reason is that because the screens are different. Basically, we are not creating a static image, we are creating a dynamic website. And by dynamic, I mean something that changes its width. Okay, so now you know why it's tricky. I start by setting the zoom to default 100% because you no longer need to read the content. I put the zoom on 200% for those with a smaller screen, but for now this is 100% and that's what our content looks like. So the first thing that I want to do, let's hit to our codes here, and inside this body that we have, I am going to use something called, let's put an enter here. And by the way, I changed my theme because I'm an addict and I need to always change my theme so everything gets interesting for me. So I give a body a padding of, for example, 100 pixels, okay? And that's what happens, 100 pixel, we have it. And let's remove the margin that I gave to card. Let's go back here, hit refresh. And as you can see, the padding of this thing that we all previously gave it was 25 pixel. So one time, let's understand the difference between margin and padding once more. As you can see, the padding is on 25 pixels. So it means this login here has 25 pixel distance from this corner here. But if I do this temporary, if I change it to margin, okay, that's what happens. It uses the outer distance. but for here I want to use padding, but I'm not sure if it's 25 pixel, if it's 30 pixel, how much is it? In order to find that, this is our login and this is the other one. I can go to inspect part, and when I go to inspect part, you can see, and when I hover on this, you can see how much space it has with the space around it. So let's use 106 and 88 for start, and let's get back to our codes. And let's say something about padding. For example, if I use 4 units inside this padding, for example, 25 pixel, 15 pixels, 10 pixels, and 33 pixel, when I use 4 here and separate them with space character, it means margin from top, margin from right, margin from bottom, and margin from left. You can combine all of those margin top, right, bottom in one line of code. And if I use 2 units here, it means margin from top and bottom is 25 pixel and margin from right and left is 15 pixel. So I want to use 106 here and 88 here. Okay, and if this is 106 pixel and this whole is 225, it means, let's open the calculator, 225 106. It means this space is 119, let's say 200 pixels, and the other, because this area should be 200 pixels. So the padding that I used, let's go back to our codes here, from top and bottom should be 200 pixels, and let's use this 100 pixel for now. And here, if it's 264, let's subtract that, 264 minus 88, it is 176, let's say 175 pixel. So let's get back to our code. 175 pixels. Hit refresh here, and we have the padding and margins that we wanted. And something that I just noticed, it's written a logo here where I wrote login here. So let's change that as well. So logo here, and get back to the result, and now this is what we have. The second thing that I want to fix is the border radius. You see, this border is round where this is not. And if I want to know how much round is this, I can go here to prototype. Here it has written it. It has 40 pixels radius. Okay, so there is something called border radius. It's a CSS property. So let's get back to our codes, and this card that we have has a border radius of 40 pixels. And if we see the result here, we see that this has 40 pixel border radius. We can fix other margins as well, but let's first fix that blue area that we have. So in our card, let's get back to our codes. In our cards, let's remove this temp that we have, that temp class and temp ID that we gave to this h1 tag here. And in our card, we had a white area, which was a div in white area. And let's cut all of these inputs, because these inputs are inside this white area, right? If they are inside that white area, they should be inside this white section that we have. So let's create another div here and paste them all here. As you can see, the indentation of these file has been ruined, because look at this. this div has an indentation here, okay, and this div has an indentation as well, but these indentations are not completely similar, and this is ruined. We need to fix it. In order to fix that, we can hit Control A to hover them all, and Control this character where I don't know what the name is, closed bracket or something, but you see on the screen what this is. And as you can see now, our content is having a good indentation and everything is okay here. So we have a div called white area, and no, it hasn't fixed it. I thought that it's gonna fix it, but no, it hasn't. Do you know why? Where the problem comes? Usually these problems come from not having a good HTML structure. For example, look at this. We have opened a div tag here, we have closed this div tag here, and opened one and opened another one. So we opened this div tag, but we have never closed it. So I think that's where the problem comes, or it has been closed here. So that's why we need to always check this div, and this div is fixed with this one. So let's cut these. Okay, now we have this div. Let's close them all. And so we had a problem maybe that this auto indent couldn't fix it, but anyway, this is now good, everything's okay. And I like to have some white space around my codes, and I recommend you to do it as well, so everything is better now. So this is div white area, and we can have another div here and call it all our blue area. So we create a new div here, give it a class of blue area, and that would be our blue area, right? That would be our blue area. So in order to get what we want, I give this card class that we have a flex display. So we have a display flex here. So, and inside this div, this flex display, we actually, let's close this for a moment and close this for a moment. We have two divs inside this card. So the behavior of these two divs will be controlled from card class that we have here. So I give it a display flex, and let's select this blue area and give this blue area a percentage width. So we saw width that we could give it like 250 pixel width. A pixel was one of these units for that, and there's another unit as well, and that's called percent, which we can use percent. For example, let's hit refresh. This blue area is on left, so I want to have it on right. So I can come here and write this blue area here. So when I hit refresh, the blue area will be here. So let's get back to our codes, and let's get back to this. As you can see, this blue area has no space with this card class that we have. So we need to change the way that we give margin and padding to our elements. So let's get back to our codes. So this padding that I gave to this card, I will give this padding to our white area. So let's change it. Create a class called white area. We select this, and we can use alt and arrows in order to move something in lines. So this is it, and this is a padding to my white area. And what happens is, let's go back here and hit refresh, is that blue area has no margin. So I want to move this white area to the very right. How can I do this? So remember that justify content that we had when we use a div. Let's move this here. With flex display, it has an extra space there, which we can control that extra space with justify content. If I set the justify content to a space between, okay, to a space between, you can see that this thing that we have there is positioned between the elements. Let's see, is between the element, that white, that extra white space. So that's for starter. That's a step, but we need to fix it and make it even better. But for now, let's find out this white area that I gave it a 25 pixel, 250 pixel, and I want to know what the exact width is. It's 489. Let's say it's 500 pixel. We can use percent as well. So we can use 500 pixels, and we can use percent as well. We will see that. This is our 500 pixel looks like. And let's give it that justify content, because that justify content that we gave was temporary, and make it to a space between. And instead of 500 pixel, I want to use percent now, because 500 pixel is something that doesn't change, but percent is more responsive, more dynamic, because whenever this changes, that will be changed with it as well. Now this is changed, but the method is very different. We have lost our border radius here. So let's get back to this, and instead of 500 pixel, let's give it a width of 25%. 25% width. Hit refresh, and I think this 25% is a good start. We lost our border radius because it has no border radius, and it has overlapped on over this card. So let's give that 40 pixel border radius to our blue area as well. So let's come back here, hit refresh, and we are good to go. But we need to change the color from exact blue to this hex code that it has given us. So let's # and this hex code and hit refresh, and this is our blue here. As you can see, we are getting closer and closer to the design that we have right here, right? So this is it for this session, and let's sum up what we learned. What I want you to take so seriously is this clean code, because so many times I have seen beginners writing HTML codes and they are very angry why my code is not running. Sometimes they even say that, sir, I have written my code exactly as you have written, but I do not have the result that you have. Well, 99% of the time it all comes back to this open tag and close tag. For example, I see my student, he has opened a tag, but he has forgotten to close it, and it has caused so many issues. So always write a clean code, always have a proper indentation, so that you can find out and see these errors so easily. And the other thing was about this margin right and margin left. We saw the 2 units, for example, margin with 2 units, and we saw margin or padding, it doesn't make a difference, with 4 units, which was top right, bottom left. But we didn't see with 3 units, and that 3 units is top, and the middle one is x-axis from top and bottom, and the other one is right. Sorry, I have written it wrong. No, what am I smoking? It was true. Top, right and left, and bottom. It's true. It's right. So And the new CSS properties that we learned in this session was just this border radius that we had. And we saw that width before, but we can use pixel and percent for our width. And we have no new tags or no new attribute in this session.